Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for these boys. Thank you for this podcast, God. Thank you for this room and this equipment. Lord, we just pray a prayer over the equipment and just ask that you make sure that everything runs smoothly for us. Lord, we just pray that this podcast falls on hungry ears and hungry hearts, God, and we pray that we can be a light for you and represent you well, God. We just ask for you to be with our hearts and our mouths during this podcast, and thank you so much for Daymon and Jasper. God, these boys mean so much to me. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Come on, episode 18, I think.
18?
It's either 17 or 18. I can't remember which one I was. I was the last one. You are our first guest since we moved into the new studio and Tyler moved into his new house.
Yep.
It's a married man.
Got that bling, that heavy metal on my finger, son.
Yeah, that's right.
I was going to text you. It made me think of this, remember the Titan scene where it's like Gary Bertier's finally had his accident in the car, or the car gets crashed. And
That's
Julie,
what marriage is like?
No, Julius walks in and he's like talking about something and he's like kind of about to cry and he's like, Julius, I'm not dead. I'm just paralyzed or I'm just crippled or something like that. And it just made me think like, I haven't talked to you in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or however many weeks. And it's like, you're not dead. You're just married.
Exactly, yeah.
Made me think of that.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, I forgot that dude, I've been so busy that when I called you yesterday, or was it yesterday I called you?
I think so, yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, what is he talking about? I didn't even know what you were talking about.
Sometimes it's like, time gets away, but also, especially when you get married, it's like, I don't know, sometimes people are a little slow to get back into the world.
I'm slow.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was like, I didn't really want to see
I'm just slow in
or
general.
talk to like a bunch of people. I just wanted to be with Hannah.
Yeah.
So,
I feel
not
like,
in a bad way, just like, it was just fun to be married and settle down and actually together, you know?
I respect that, brother. Because I feel like I'm like a hamster. Like, I feel like we've been planting in the wood and stuff, and I'm just like clawing to get like working. And I feel like I have a new desire to like be successful.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to spend time with her or anything. I want to be a good husband. I just want to like provide and.
I just mimicked you so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, you mirrored me, bro.
Yeah, I did, bro.
Holy crap.
Okay, we're back in this GodDog podcast for sure.
It's funny. Hannah's dad always said, oh gosh. Hannah's dad always said something like, because before he was a pastor, he worked in like ag business and, or business ag, whichever way that goes. And he was like, bosses always loved it when the young guys got married because they came back way hungrier to like get sales and do the job even better than what they were doing before. So they always liked it when guys got married.
That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not a liar.
No, that's the way it should
I'm
be.
good, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
So I'm normal.
Yeah. Shout out to Hannah's dad.
Come on. Well,
for that wisdom.
I'm sure we'll talk plenty about your lovely wife. She's awesome, man.
She's the best.
She seems wittier than all of us.
She's clever. She puts me in my place quite frequently. Yeah. God knew what he was doing.
Yeah, we need him. We need him, bro. Well, dude, thanks for coming on here.
Heck yeah.
Been meaning to get you on for a while. I think this is perfect. Who's Daymon Osborn?
Man, trying to think.
Not in a condescending way whatsoever. Just like, what do you want people to know about you?
Man,
I know a lot. Sorry, I'm going to shut up in about 10 seconds.
Good. I feel like we should all do a mixture of the talking because I don't know if I'm entertaining enough for
Come on, bro.
for a long talk. But I mean, born in Iowa, Harlan, Iowa, way out there in the middle of nowhere. My dad always would say, born in Iowa, it stands for idiots out wandering around. So that's kind of true to my life today. I feel like an idiot wandering around. But yeah, born in Iowa, and my dad was a pastor, and I mean, we moved around a little bit before we settled into Indiana. So we moved to Florida after Iowa, and that's where my younger brother was born. Gainesville, where UF is at, and headed up to Indiana. Fort Wayne is where my roots are. And I mean, born or raised there, and big family, 4 siblings, 2 sisters, 2 brothers. It's sister, brother, sister, me, brother. So, I mean, I feel like there's nothing crazy about my childhood other than just like probably any of us just growing up and doing I don't know. I'm just
Play
not.
sports?
Say that again.
Did you play sports?
Yeah, I played sports. I baseball was my first love. So I played baseball for years before I really did something else. And I feel like after baseball, it was wrestling. And then right along the time I started doing wrestling, basketball kind of came into my life in a timely fashion because I ended up really focusing on that in high school. And did basketball through high school and ended up playing a year in college.
Where at?
Stud.
It was at a small NAI school west of Athens, just a school called Emmanuel College. Very fond memories from that place. I mean, that's kind of when I fell in love with just – I'd always loved country music, but country music kind of came alive in Georgia. And I think, to be honest, that's why there's so many people from Georgia that are here in town that are doing it and successful because they know what they're singing about, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a big year for me, just away from home and playing basketball. And, I mean, I played a little bit, but I sat watching basketball. Freshmen just didn't really play. And, yeah, just I fell in love with red dirt and shooting things and just being out on a back road at 2 a.m., just windows down, summer breeze.
Living out the country songs.
Man, dude, that was when FGL was huge. And, you know, it's kind of like Nickelback. Like everyone all of a sudden just started hating on Nickelback.
Yeah.
I feel like Florida Georgia Line went through the same thing. Like all of a sudden everyone just kind of started hating on Florida Georgia Line.
Yeah, they couldn't do it, so they.
Yeah. So then I mean,
I don't know how to do that.
I mean, man, I still remember running roads, listening to those songs.
Yeah.
For that year of my life, and
Sometimes I still do it.
Dude, I remember pulling.
wild.
I remember pulling a tobacco trailer one morning, listening to Dirt.
Dude, that song is so freaking good.
I just
So
remember
good.
my soul was on fire, bro, because I was like, I already knew I wanted to do country music.
Yeah, same.
But I was
Yeah.
like wearing a cutoff, big old fat pinch of dip in my lip, and a flatbed F-250 that somebody shouldn't be letting me drive.
Yeah.
With like thousands of dollars worth of tobacco in a trailer behind me, and I stayed up all night. I didn't want to be at work, but I remember driving down a dirt road and that song coming on, and I was just like, man, this is it.
Yeah,
This is it.
for sure.
I was like, I can do it
Yeah.
because I'm doing it.
You're doing
You know?
it.
Yeah.
But Georgia does have that thing. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like where the wild things are, you know?
Yeah, and it's the whole state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Like you can maybe skirt around Atlanta or
Yeah.
skirt around
Dude,
Macon
where
or-
you were in North Georgia too is beautiful.
But I mean, it's like the state of Georgia has it going on. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, I don't have family there. The Loudermilks are the family that I know
yes.
down there, and I mean that's their family. But
Yeah.
outside of them, it's like it's a place that I would still want to move. You know,
Yeah.
if I had to pick a state, like right now, like Georgia would be a state that I would very highly consider. Texas, because my family's out there, but like Georgia's just beautiful. It's just down home.
Yeah, it is.
It's down home.
So you spent some time there. Okay.
Yeah,
and
spent
I know
some time there.
You had a interesting job somewhere in Georgia. Is that when you were cooking or
So I didn't. I'm trying to think. Basketball, because it was an I, we just didn't have any hour like restrictions. So like D2 and D1, they put restrictions on how much you can practice, how much you can be around coaches, all that kind of thing throughout the year. NAI was just the Wild West. So we would wake up, lift, we would practice, we would go to class, we would get done, we would practice, and you just didn't have time to do anything other than study and play basketball. So I didn't work that year, but I ended up transferring out of there out of my freshman year and ended up at Indiana University.
Okay, I didn't.
And that was where I had a really kind of weird job working in a kitchen at a sorority.
Wait, let's go into that a little bit.
I mean,
You were
it's
working
exactly
in a
what it
kitchen in
sounds
a
like.
sorority.
Yeah, they call them kitchen boys. There's girls that work them too.
I'm about to
but-
change my name. Your name in my phone to that.
Yeah.
The kitchen boys calling.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I was right across the street, Zeta Tau Alpha, and just did the dishes for all the sorority girls. And
Did you sing them any songs?
yeah, I mean, I wrote a few. One was called Kitchen Boy, and they love that one.
Are you being for real?
Yeah, I'm being dead serious.
You remember any of that by chance?
Man,
Let's get a verse.
You remember.
Let's get a verse chorus of Kitchen
I
Boy.
remember some of it, but I couldn't play it right now. I feel like I've thrown it, like the melody. I feel like your way one time, but that's probably a song we should finish. Honestly, I feel like we changed up lyrics, and it wasn't called Kitchen Boy. It was called like Good Old Boy or something like that.
Okay.
It's just like I can't even remember it, but
It sounds really funny, but I promise most of the stuff that Daymon writes is incredible. So
it was dumb though. But like I just remember,
I'm sure it was genius.
and I tried to not be too douchey with a guitar in college. Like I played mostly in my room and just practiced trying to write the best song I could.
Yeah.
But there was just a handful of opportunities that I had to pick up a guitar in front of a few girls and play a song. And it wasn't too out in public or anything. It was just because I mean at that point I was cutting my teeth on a whole gambit of music. I mean from John Mayer to Jack Johnson to country, Billy Currington. I mean, so I was writing stuff that wasn't what I'm writing now, and so like you just try to feel out what people like and what people don't. You know what I mean?
And you're writing what you like
Yeah,
to listen to at the time.
I think if I go back and actually go through the notebooks of what I was writing, it was probably real stupid. But I think that's just when I fell in love with like the reaction between people and songs.
Yeah.
Because there's just something about being able to see someone react to it, smile, or think it's funny, or think it's sweet, or think it's whatever. And that's when I was like, man, this is really cool. I mean, I fell in love with that in high school, my senior year, but I was still itching for it in college. But I just wanted to try and get better at playing in front of people. And I actually feel like there was a stretch of years there where I got way more comfortable in front of a stage, but for whatever reason, coming to Nashville, it became such a bigger stage in my mind. Like first time I ever came to Nashville and walked the halls of Music Row, if you will, I just remember carrying my guitar and going into my first bar, playing my first writer's round, and just being so nervous because I'm just like, this is where, even though it's not true, it's like this is where Johnny Cash played. This is where you're telling yourself those things.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is, but it's like, dude, it's
really it's the zip code,
Yeah,
like,
it was just like, man, I hadn't done anything to prove myself yet, and you get here, and I think if I go back to college and play shows in college, I was way more confident and had way worse songs. I have way better songs and I'm way less confident now just because.
Yeah, I almost feel that way too.
I think you just get to town and you're just like, you're constantly looking for that stamp of it's good. Yeah. And I feel like we all get that when we get our first number one. You're like, you're good, And so I feel like I've not had that. So
but you're already good.
I just feel like you just are fishing for like, is this good? Is this? So I think sometimes that confidence, goes to the wayside a little bit when you're playing shows and different things here in Nashville. Just because for me, it used to not be as big a struggle. Now I feel like a lot more of a struggle.
Well, I can assure you should be extremely confident in yourself as a songwriter, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think I am. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But I think there's just when I step on the stage, that's where it's it gets a little bit, for whatever reason, a little more.
It's real.
Yeah, it just is like I want it to. I care about my song so much that I want it to be received well.
Yeah, you want to execute.
Yeah, I just want to execute, and sometimes it's for whatever reason this town makes it harder to do that. I think for other people it makes it easier because it's like you do this, you can do anything.
Yeah.
But for me, it's kind of at times done the opposite. It's like, man, it's just such a hard thing to do sometimes.
Yeah, I understand.
Come to Nashville, play shows, and entertain people, and when you look around and you just see so many successful, talented. I mean, I watched Eric Pasley play around, and you're just in the, I had a table watching him and how elegant he is with the stories he tells and the pictures he paints, let alone in the song that he plays that everyone knows. Yep. You're just like, dude, that's not where I think I'll be there. And I think I have good enough songs, but like, I'm not there yet. And so you just sit there and you're like, man, what a powerful ability that he has to do that and do it so well.
Yep.
You not only learn from the song, you also learn from what he says. And that's not just him. That's Adam Hambrick. That's Kelley Lovelace. That's
for sure
all the guys that, I'm familiar with and am writing with. It's like just really, really, you just are humbled by it, I think is a way to say it. There's just times where I'm like, man, I'm not there yet. Even though I think sometimes my songs are there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like my songs are there, but not necessarily.
I think that about myself too.
Certified stamp of approval.
That's the hard part about songwriting, man, is like, as a songwriter, we've had this conversation a couple times, but nowadays it's hard to just be a songwriter because in order to, kind of get yourself out there, you either have to like be best buddies with Luke Combs or somebody, as a top liner, just having fire ideas and melodies or whatever lyric. But now, like, if you kind of want to be self-made, sure, it's, hard enough to write a good hook, a good song, and a good melody, but then on top of that, being able to sing the crap out of it in front of people under pressure. There's like so many tiers to executing a song. It's like, not to mention having your radar on to catch the idea, write the idea with the right people, write the idea with the right people the right way, with a good melody. Get it somewhere. Have it
finished.
Find an opportunity to play the show or sing it somewhere. It's just so much.
Yeah, it is. And if your goal is like if you move to town now and it's like, I just want to be a writer, you don't even want to be an artist, but you're not in an artist camp. You're not best friends with an artist who's gonna eventually go, and you're not getting a pub deal. The only option for your song to get heard, it'd be no different than me. Like if I didn't want to be an artist, but I still wanted to write songs, but I didn't have a pub deal, I still got to put the song on TikTok, and I got to be the one performing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. I think, you don't really realize that, and then you move to town and you realize songwriters are a rare breed, solely songwriting. But there's guys that are doing it, girls that are doing it right now, and I feel like I call them the dark horses. Those are the people that you don't know or the world doesn't know. Yeah, it's those kind of people. It's Chase McDaniel. It's you name it. It's people that are up and coming and are right there that they're songwriting and they have this capability of just being dark horses that all of a sudden they're going to be the next Luke Clay, they're going to be the next Hillary Lindsay, they're going to be the next,
for sure.
And I feel like
the next Daymon Osborn.
Yeah, you want to be in that category, and I think anybody that has a deal and is doing it, I think there's people that believe in you, and so I'm putting myself in there. I want to chase the best songs and get something to go, like we all do. But it's a wild town, and it is a wild thing of just from confidence to humility to good songs to bad songs to all the in between. You're just constantly chasing so much of what's inside your head, and you end up losing your way sometimes.
Or a lot of times.
Yeah.
Not for everybody, but some of us. Not me. Not me.
But it's weird what Nashville will do to you. I just say those things as an example, like just with the confidence stuff. It's just I didn't struggle with it as much until I came to Nashville. It's weird. It's just a weird thing. It's I always got nervous or whatever because I think there's a quote out there. It's like pressure is a privilege, and so it's. That's what the mindset that you have when you do those kind of things. Because I think I watch around with like Hardy and Andy Albert and Josh Kerr and Adam Craig, and it's just like boom, 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 and you're like, this, it's not that the songs are so much better. Now, don't get me wrong, the songs are at a
they're top tier.
They're top tier. There's a bar, but you can hear Morgan Wallen singing it. You can hear Cody Johnson singing it. You can hear whoever's singing it, and that's what makes the difference. And so until you have a song that someone can hear that person singing it, there's a level of confidence that you can't have until you have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that you can't have it, but it's so much harder to achieve that, level of like, I've arrived.
And it only comes with time.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take this, Kyle Sturrock and Johnny Clausen. They've been buddies for years and years and years and years, written 100 songs plus together. And when they step on stage, they probably would agree there's a level of confidence now that they play around with after Texas went number one, that they were balling way before Texas.
Right.
But now they're like, we can do anything.
Yeah, right here.
You know what I'm saying? And it's
a stamp.
Yeah, it's just a stamp, and you can't ever take that away from somebody. And that's what's so cool about those moments and that level of confidence. You just can't take it away from people.
Yeah.
Not that you don't maybe struggle with it, because I know Hardy's talked about struggling with, different levels of like getting ready for big shows and the mindset of those kind of things. So I know it comes and goes, but there's a certain level of, as a songwriter, as someone who's going to entertain a crowd, you just can't take that level of confidence away at that level, And that's what I think is just so neat about that level of success, that we're all chasing.
Yeah.
Because how sweet would it be to hop up on stage and be like, I got this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah. And it's not that I don't. I mean, I'll hop up on stage and say my songs are going to compete with anybody, no matter if they've sung by the major label artists or not, because I believe they're that good. But at the same time, you know that there's just a difference when they haven't been sang by somebody.
Yeah, there's when you play Live Oak and no one knows your song, or you walk in a Nissan Stadium and 67,000 people know your song.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a little different.
But it's still funny too. It's there's I've not seen Riley Green play his bar, but I think I saw a clip of him hopping up on stage and playing something. And it's like you still got people talking in the background. And it's like, that's Riley Green playing.
That's Nashville.
Everybody quiet down.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Now, they may be talking about, that's Riley Green. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I mean, those guys are still sometimes probably humble to like, yo, I'm up on stage. You know what I'm saying? Because people are just stupid.
That's what Midtown writers are on, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's hard. I feel like that is important too, though, like being able to sing through those moments where nobody cares.
Oh, yeah.
That for me is, I've had to really, I've struggled with that the most. Like going home and playing a show or something nobody cares, or like playing like a one-off gig in the corner.
Yeah.
And nobody's listening. And you're just like, I'm invisible, yet I'm the loudest person in the room.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're constantly thinking about that.
What's a weird feeling is, for me, it's like I'm my best version on my living room couch with no one around.
Me too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, that's where I've lived. Like it was my bedroom. My notes were on my bed. I had a wheelie chair that I would wheel over to my bed, and I would just sit there and play for hours and try to write.
Yep.
It's like, now it's in the living room, and I put my, I lay out my stuff right there on like the little coffee table bench, and that's where I sit and I play and practice and do my thing. And sometimes I just wish there was a way to take that me and put it.
I couldn't agree more.
And put it.
We had Derek Austin on, and he was like, if you're a new artist wanting to do this, like if you're doing this now and you're singing in your bedroom, like put a mic in front of your face.
Yeah.
Make that mic your home base. So when you can go sit in front of any mic anywhere.
Yeah.
And feel just like you did in your bedroom.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I wish you would have told 15-year-old me that, because I'm the same way. Like, it was always the bedroom, and now it's like the living room or my little studio in the house. And I'm in there at 2:00 in the morning writing and singing. I'm like, God, this is like, I wish I would have had the mic turned on right now to record, but I just freaking did acoustically in here. And then you go play a show and you're like, why don't I feel like I felt, last night in my house?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a weird, for me, it's kind of a weird phenomenon. Why it's so different.
It's all up here, bro.
It is all up here, but there's, it'll take me 100 times to get a good work tape sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I get it and I'll send it around or whatever, it's like, man, you got a good voice. I'm like, I think I do. But then there's times where I'm like, what the heck do I sound like right now?
Same,
You know what I'm saying?
Welcome to the club.
You're like, how does that go from this to this?
Yeah.
Just by putting a microphone in front of me. You know what I mean? It's so bizarre. And I know I'm sound like I'm complaining, but the best people, there's no excuse. I worked for a basketball organization as a summer job throughout college once I got to IU, just because basketball was a big part of my life. And we would travel around the country, different colleges. It's called PGC. It stood for Point Guard College, still does. They still are a company doing it. But they would always say, if you're good, you'll play. You know, if you're good, coaches will find you. So I've always lived by there's no excuse. Like if I don't make it as a songwriter, if I don't make it as a whatever, it's not anybody's fault. And I think Craig Wiseman has said it before, just like Nashville doesn't owe you anything.
Yeah. And
it doesn't. You got to take everything that you get in this town, and not in a angry way or I'm going to do it and watch out because I'm going to beat everyone down in my path. But you do it in a confident way, in a way that it kind of, as you do that, it starts to come to you, I think. But there's no excuse for nervousness or all those kind of things. It's just, you got to play through it and practice through it and overcome it. Because if you don't, you lose. You know? But I think for me, it's just, those are the honest, like nitty grittiness of just being a songwriter.
It's no different than any other professional thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And making that, translate from the living room to the stage to the writing rooms to wherever else you're playing.
Yeah, the demo booth or whatever.
The demo booth. And I think, the more you do it, it's like anything. It's just the better you get. It's like publishers in their first year of publishing. Every writer wants them to be the best publisher that they possibly could be year one. And the reality is, you're going to be a better publisher in 5 years than you are right now. It's just the nature of the beast. Just like I'm a better songwriter now than what I was when I first got to town. And so you try to grow and learn. And that's why I think Nashville is a 10-year town, because you're constantly improving what you do well, even weller.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the beast. And for some, it happens quicker than others. There's outliers, but I think the steadiness of just staying at it and trying to win with the people around you and the people that are coming in and out of your circles. I mean, there's a method to the madness, even though it's madness, Yeah,
for sure.
It's
madness for sure.
There's a way to do it, even though there's no guarantee, but there's definitely a method. It's like, I've taken the Grand Ole Opry tour a handful of times just with family coming in and out of town. And the question that everyone always asks without fail is like, how do you become an Opry member? And the best way I've heard it described is it's like a secret recipe. You got to live in Tennessee, or you got to spend a lot of time in Tennessee. You got to do this. You got to have these kind of songs. You got to have a certain level of commitment, but it's like, no one really knows, And so it's like, even to be a member of that Grand Ole Opry, there's a nuance to it that no one really quite knows. It's a secret recipe.
For sure.
Just like becoming a successful songwriter, there's things that you have to have, but there's not necessarily
there's no one path.
Yeah. And that's not profound. Everyone knows that, but you live in it is a different thing.
Yeah, that's why I've told everybody my whole life. It's like, if you want to be a doctor, you go to school, you get your degree, you leave, you get hired, you're a doctor. No different than if you want to be a lawyer. You go to law school, you get your degree, you leave, and you can either be a lawyer for someone or you can open your own law firm. Just because you move to Nashville and write songs doesn't mean that you end up as the next Luke Laird. Yeah, no, it's 100% true. And I think that's what's so fascinating about the success stories is so many people that are, there's no other way to say it than unsuccessful, because they didn't reach what they wanted to accomplish. There's all you ever hear about is the success, and that's just the nature of the industry. It's always what's highlighted, it's always what's posted, it's always what's the buzz. You just never hear about the people that came, spent 10 years of their life here, couldn't make it, ran out of time or ran out of money or ran out of whatever it is. And I know if you have a plan B, your plan A will never come true, but there is a reality of life where it's like, you don't want to turn 50 and have no
nothing to show for, no life, no family, no.
There's for sure a balance there.
Yeah, unless that's what you want, which I think you have to be honest with yourself as you figure that out. But I think I can't remember exactly where I was going with that, but that's how my brain works.
No,
Get started and can't
You're
finish
just pretty much saying that you have to be realistic at some point if it hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's probably different for everybody if it doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean,
I agree with you though. I'm not saying you're wrong.
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it's like we were saying. I think good songs and time go hand in hand. I think it's just it's what happens. You write good songs, you keep writing good songs, and you keep hanging around. That's how it's going to happen. Yeah. But I think that's what I was saying. It's not everyone's going to be the next Luke Laird, the next Craig Wiseman, the next, you name it.
I think,
it's just because you can't have that many of them. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of us. Yeah. And there's only a few of them.
You got to define. I mean, we've talked about this on this podcast a bunch about defining what success is for you. And we've talked about it in Bible studies and whatever else. Like,
right.
There's only going to be, for whatever your genre is, whether it's music or sports or whatever, you can't all be Michael. You can't all be LeBron. You can't all be Stephen Curry. Right. So you can't all be Luke Laird. But to some people who would look at you, they'd be like, he's a signed writer.
No, for sure.
So you've won to some degree compared to others who haven't.
For sure.
Or will never even get that, right?
Yeah.
In your mind, though, you're like, but I'm going after the number one. Okay, so there's a thing you're after. And, everyone moves here with probably 40 different astronomical dreams. I want this many number ones. I want to play the opera, and I'd like to play there too. And the Ryman would be sick. And then go down the list, right? I think that too is what can make us feel, lack of confidence sometimes, or sometimes we're worried about the state of our own journeys and careers. Because you move up here, or you have a dream in your bedroom when you're 16, and you're like, you're going down the list of all the big things because you're watching interviews of Luke Bryan or FGL, and it's like, I want to do what they're doing. Yeah. So you move up here and you base all your success on, I got to be just like that. When, there's other things to celebrate too. Not saying that you can't, that a person can't do that, but you'll still do the same thing if you get one number one. You'll be like, let's go for 3. 3 is going to turn into 5. 5 will turn into 10.
Right.
And eventually you got to be like, wait, I'm actually great here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But not everyone even gets to the first level.
Yeah.
So, one thing that we always talk about is, like you just said, there's so many talented people here. A lot of them do or don't make it, whatever. Dude, think about the big first step. Think about how many people wish they would have actually given it a shot and left their hometown and moved up here. Probably more of those people than the ones that are here. Like, that in itself is a major win for anyone to go, I'm leaving everything I know to go write songs. Okay, you won that part. Then you get a pub deal. You won that part. Then you start getting cuts. You won that part. So there's definitely levels, but I think every single success should be celebrated because not everybody even takes the first step.
Yeah, I'll say 2 things. One, if I would have told my 17-year-old self that this is where I'd be right now, I would have been over the moon.
Right.
Yep.
Because it's like, you're a published writer in Nashville, Tennessee, which at 17, I didn't know what Nashville, Tennessee was. So I probably wouldn't be, I'm over the moon, but I would have been like, wait, what's a pub deal? What's you can actually songwrite for a living. But all that to say, you have 100% that reality that you have different levels of success, and you're always pursuing that next level without thinking of where you've been and what's gotten you to where you want to go. Mm-hmm. But I also think, for an example, my sister, they out in Texas, they just moved to a new house and was out doing yard work, and the neighbor has like a golf course yard, and they ended up getting to know him a little bit, and one of the other neighbors was like, do you know who that is? Like, who your neighbor is? And he ended up being a 16 to 20 year MLB player for the Yankees. But no one knows him.
Right.
He's living in Midland, Texas. Right. Taking care of his yard every day.
That's exactly where I'm trying to go with that whole thing. Yeah.
Not that you don't have, there's not necessarily room for, all these superstars, but there is room for people to make a really good living doing it, even if you're not the necessarily big name. So I think for me, I would always hope to say I'm not necessarily pursuing it for like a big name or a big thing. I think I'm pursuing it truthfully in my heart of hearts currently to provide for Hannah and to be a dad that's around as much as he possibly could with kids that, we one day have. Because I mean, I can go work a job and work 10 hours a day for 5 days a week and, put my 50 hours in. But I don't necessarily want to do that if I don't have to. So that's why I'm pursuing songwriting, one, because I love it.
Yep.
And two, because even though it's quote unquote kind of impossible to make a living, if you can make a living, it's an awesome living to make.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily about being the big name. It's just about being able to do something that, one, I love, but two, that provides for Hannah in a way that allows me to be as present as I possibly could in her life and the people's lives that I love.
I couldn't agree more.
That's, I think, success for me.
Yeah.
To be able to get to that level of songwriting.
Agreed.
Because I think as much as I want it for my wife as much as I want it for anybody. Because I don't want her to have to continue to work at the hospital and continue to live a dream that's not hers.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to provide in that way.
It's admirable.
And I know there's other ways you provide or I provide or we can provide, but I mean, that's a big way.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big burden off of her shoulders.
We talked about it sometime last week, or I think we were both just kind of stressed about music or whatever else, and it's like, but okay, the thing about this in life in general is like, part of the free will God gives you is like, choose what you want to do, bro. Obviously, he puts dreams. He put a dream on all of our hearts to go do this, but it's like I was saying to him, I was like, if it was right now and it was like, hey, pick your career path. You can go do whatever you want for the rest of your life. Pick what you want to do. I still don't think there's something cooler than writing songs for your career. Yeah. Like even if it came down to only that reason, like if all the good ones were removed and that was the last one left and it was just, you could pick your career path. Okay. There's a billion. I'm still choosing to write songs if I can pick any of them, because it's still the coolest thing in the whole entire world.
Yeah. I think that's what I struggle with the most. Just even the thought, even if it's a quick, brief thought of, man, if I had to do something else, what would it be? And, how kind of where would I go and all those kind of things. And I think the thought that burns me up more than anything is knowing that I know if I ever left, someone would be able to still be writing songs for a living and I would be out there working a sucky job.
Yeah, I kind of went through that.
Like, I know what it's like on Music Row. I know what it's like to be in at 11, out by 3, sometimes 1:30 if you're really killing it. And, for me, have my Chips Ahoy's and a Coke and be out by and back home and chilling, working on the next song tomorrow or going on a walk with my wife or eating dinner together. I know what that life is like. And what's so frustrating about songwriting is you get a taste of success without ever having success. Like, you know what it's like to live the dream without being able to know that you're going to live the dream forever.
Right, because you're doing exactly what you would be doing if you already had the number one.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And that's what makes you, Hannah and I were just talking about, which I know it's an analogy used by everyone, but it's just pulling the lever. Because one song changes everything.
One song changes everything.
And it could be a song that was already written. It could be a song that hasn't been written yet. One song changes everything. And that's what just keeps me pulling the lever. And the moment you walk away, someone's going to come and sit in your seat and pull that lever. And
dude. It's like gambling with ideas.
Dude, it's
just keep putting the idea quarter in the machine until you finally hit the jackpot, except for it's not your money. Sometimes it's your money if you're doing demos and recording. But my point is, that pulling the lever thing is exactly how it goes.
But that's that to me is what's so hard about songwriting is you get to live the dream without knowing if you're going to live it forever.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's just a hard reality until it becomes your actual reality.
Right.
Because you kind of live it like this, false reality. It's like reality, but not really.
Yeah.
It's like, it is what I'm doing. It is real.
Yeah.
But it is your profession.
Yeah. Is it what I'm going to be able to do?
Right.
Forever? I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell.
I think there's other people in the world that feel just like that.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm sure there's athletes that do for sure before they ever make it. Of like, dude, can you imagine being like coming out of high school or college, and they're like, yeah, we want to put you on like the AAA team for like the Yankees or whatever, and you're like playing that farm league professionally for like 5.5 years, and all your buddies keep going up and up and up to the Yankees, and you're like, I'm running out of time here. I don't think I'm going to get pulled up. But then you do. It's like the last year of their season, and it's like, hey, You're getting called up to play the big leagues now.
And how many people don't?
Right.
You know, and what's crazy about sports even more so is that you do have a time restriction. You can't play.
It's worse.
You can't play forever.
Yeah.
Songwriting you can do for a long, long, long time.
Yes, sir.
That's why golf is so cool too, because you can play golf for a long time too. But I do think just the way music is set up, unfortunately, because it's so digital, and we could talk about this for hours and hours, but the money streams of everything are a little different than like some of the other outlets. Not that AAA ball players aren't are getting paid millions of dollars. I don't know if they are. I doubt it.
They're not.
But I think AAA is getting paid more than single A. So it's like I think your single A, double A are probably struggling a little bit more than your AAA because they're that close. But all that to say is just I think there's such a difference between this town between you're either at the top or you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of in between. I think the people that are at the in between are the people that have been at the top and haven't had it in a long time and are kind of feeling like, man, I need to hit again because that money's coming in and out, and maybe your BMI check wasn't 90 grand this time. It's 5 or 10 or 15, and you're just like, I feel like that's the middle people, but they've been at the top. I think it's for Nashville. It's you're either here or you're here. I think that's what makes this job so much more difficult than some other jobs.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're trying to chase the dream, not that AAA isn't that same struggle.
Yeah, no, I was just.
But I think you're definitely
cherry picking a sport.
No. But and I don't mean to hang on that. But I think for me, I think there is more money in some different things because it's not so. Like it's not digital. It's you can actually play a sport. You can actually put a hand on a ball and throw it, and you can actually do. It's
a tangible product.
Yeah, I don't think music is as tangible as a product legally.
Yeah. No, I mean it's truly for the most part, unless you have a record breaking something.
Yeah,
it's here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I can play guitar and I can hold those things, but as far as like the money aspect of it, there's very few ways I feel like to make money songwriting, and I think the big two are sync and radio.
You're right.
Unless you own your master and are crushing it like Muscadine or some of these guys that have put a song out and gone by,
which are still the rare breed,
right, which is the outliers. But I mean, I don't call Muscadine an outlier. They've been grinding for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So
the outlier would be their masters.
Yeah. Or it's like Drew Baldridge, he's been grinding for years and years and years and has finally been able to put the record companies in a place where they're like,
they have to sign him.
Yeah, they have to sign him, and they have to take it number one because if they don't, he's done a number one without them.
Yes.
So what are they gonna what's he gonna do when they don't help him get it number one? And he's like, but I did it myself. You guys can't even help me do it. I'm good then.
Yeah, well, it's not that. It's just it tells everybody that.
Yeah, exactly.
It tells everyone.
Exactly.
It's like
And so I think those guys, are so valuable to the industry as well because of what they do for us.
Yeah, correct.
So that's what's cool about guys like that and stories like that. Muscadine to Drew to you name it.
For sure.
They're people that are winning in a way that we all strive to.
Yep.
But haven't been able to quite get there yet.
Yeah.
Just because it just takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time.
But you will.
Yeah, I mean, I think you try to speak it into existence, but I think those kind of things are in the Lord's hands,
Absolutely.
The only thing I would say about everything that you just said is a lot of it just is God's grace too.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Having it, having God's
for
grace.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Being able to be here in the first place. And dude, I think my biggest battle with my career is like, okay, like if I succeed in this world and I'm successful, like I have good good things happen to me. What does that mean? Like, do I truly love that and desire that more than I desire a relationship with God? Like, what am I chasing after most? And sometimes I get in my head like, dang, I really have to be on my phone every day, posting every day. And like at the same time, I need to be reading my Bible every day. And there's just like, it's conflicting for me sometimes, like emotionally, just being like, man, if I care about this music, like if I care about my career so much, what does that say about my love for the Lord?
Right.
It makes me feel bad sometimes. I'm just
Me
like,
too.
I don't know. Like,
I
don't know what the right thing. Oh, my bad. I don't know. Some days.
I think there's definitely supposed to be at least a balance to that, you know, because I do the same thing and I feel the same way, and you've probably been there, and there's probably a billion other writers and artists that feel that way because it is a self-serving type of industry.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I mean.
Like,
It's at the end of the day, my career is all about me.
right. And
like,
I think,
and not to say that I don't, music we write and play and sing doesn't affect other people.
yeah,
And like,
well,
it can't, like, you know, going and playing. I love playing shows, not because I get to be in front of people, but because I get to talk to them afterwards and let them know that, like,
Yeah.
I'm human and I actually care about them.
Yeah.
Not that I'm like, put me on the stage and look at me.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why. Just recently, in the past couple of years, I've just grown to like really not like that side of the industry, and I know it's because every day you're just like staring at people or yourself on your phone.
yeah, it's very,
I just can get like it. I can get a little disgusted by it at
Me
times,
too.
where it's just like, man, this is like it like has to be all about me if I want my artist stuff to work.
Yes.
Which is weird to say,
but it's,
you know.
it
Yeah,
sucks
I get it.
because like, I don't think the job itself is like sinful, and like the thing that sucks the most is that is just part of the job, and it's extremely difficult to remove what you're going through from that, because I feel the same way. Like we've talked about it, like as soon as I took the social media break and got back on socials, like I do not want to get back into this thing that I was doing, but the thing that I was doing was making everything work. And now I don't even know how to go back to what I was doing when I was doing that, because I hate it. Like you do too. And it's like, it's weird because first of all, even the jobs that are about someone else, like what Morgan does, right? Or like a firefighter or a cop, those jobs are serving other people, but those people probably picked the job because it was what they wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's no different than like, we wanted to write songs, not because you thought, I want to be a songwriter because I need 67,000 people clapping for me every night to make me feel good about myself. You know what I'm saying? But
also,
unfortunately,
at the same time, at 16, I would be lying if I didn't think or
Yeah.
wasn't thinking like I would be the coolest guy.
yeah, of course. But
know?
so is the firefighter who's prepping, being like, they want the confidence boost too when they get the job. The cop wants to pass that test and also get the pat on the back because they accomplished something. Like, to a certain degree, no matter what we do as humans and picking our paths, like, even if it's to the 1 degree, it's still somewhat selfish because you're the one deciding to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? You're going after it because you have it on. But like, did Tyler pick to do this, or did you have it on your heart to go do it? That did not come from you. Or was someone pressuring you to do this, or did you feel like, man, there's nothing else in the world that I can go do? Because that's different, I think, of like that God push of being like, I designed you to go here and do this. You can make it all about you if you want to. That's the wrong way to do it. But no one would hold you down. Was like, bro, go do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not countering you because I feel the same way. I'm saying this out loud because I have to hear it for myself all the time too.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think for me, I think there's a proverb or Psalms, but we grew up always saying it in the house. You know, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Yeah. So I think there's a freedom in if you're living your life for the Lord to choose some different paths for whatever you want your career to be, whether it's an accountant or a nurse or a doctor or a songwriter. But whatever you end up trying to choosing, you go at it and you give it all you got. And I think to kind of have it relate to both conversations that are going on, I think there just comes down to like a diligence in your life. So you need to be pursuing it with all you have, but then there also just needs to be a diligence in your time in the Word.
Correct.
Or your time, with your wife, or your time with, your local church, or whatever it ends up being, that can just keep what matters, because at the end of the day, songwriting isn't what is going to fulfill my soul. It's not what's going to make me happy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll smile and maybe shed a tear if I, have some success, but I think nothing gratifies my soul more than the truth of God's word and what power he has over the grave, and ultimately through his death comes life, after death. And I think we all agree, but that's the truth that you cling to, even though at times maybe music can be an idol in our lives, whether it be social media or just the pursuit of it, because it's constant. I mean,
I think what I was trying to say is like, I don't know, at times I'm thinking out loud as I'm saying this, like, I don't know how to pursue it without it being an idol,
right?
The way that I would need to pursue it in order to be successful at it. So sometimes I'm just like,
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do something wrong here and end up in a fiery furnace,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When I die, and like,
no, I know.
I would much rather go to heaven than be.
I wasn't trying to
successful. I don't think you were. I'm just
agree.
Thinking out loud, and I think Daymon and I have talked about this a lot. Like, you seem really sound with your like judgment and your ability to be confident here and to pursue this. And I'm not saying I don't have any of that. I think here lately I've just been like, man, I got to do it all the time.
Yeah. And
like there's not like,
I think that's our brain.
there's not room. There's just not room for anything. I think
that's
kind of, which kind of, it's like, maybe I'm wrong.
No, well,
maybe there is plenty of room, and I just am terrible at like time management, which is probably part of it.
That's a little bit true.
But also at the same time, like, I mean, I wrote 2 songs today.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see, yesterday, what did I do? I mean, I've written every day this week and writing tomorrow. I wrote twice today, doing a podcast.
You're doing your job.
Trying to turn songs in, got a song mastered this week. Don't know when I'm going to have time to upload it and get a pre-save link built and pay somebody to do content, and then do the content, post the content while I'm writing more songs and doing the next thing for the next single. It's just like, I need to devote every single hour. At times it feels like, and I'm just like, it's so overwhelming in my head. I'm like, I'm literally having to sell my life too.
Yeah. I think
that's the beauty of songwriting though, is like, if you can just be a songwriter and be successful, that's
the goal, bro.
Just a niche.
You get the best of both worlds, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's cool about like doing it as a songwriter first, which again isn't how this town works anymore, so it's hard to say that. Mm-hmm. But I think that's also why you're so busy, because you're doing the artist and the songwriting thing. But, so it's, I mean, potentially, I don't know if it's easier for me, but it's definitely not as time consuming for me. Even though I would say it's maybe more time consuming on like trying to build hooks and build different things to write a song about, in my free time. But
but you do a lot of that.
Yeah, try to. But all that to say, I get where you're coming from. There's just you run out of time in a day. But yeah, just trying to keep what's important, and. Yeah, I was going somewhere else with it, but I can't remember what I was going to say. But
that's all good. I went off on my own little
I think you said it, and
tangent.
I was going to say it when I went off on my own tangent too. At the beginning, I said it is balance, and it's like, yeah, if you're doing all of that more than you're even thinking about God or praying or reading your Bible or like being involved in Bible studies or going to church, then like there's a problem. That's any job, and there are plenty of people in plenty of professions that make work the number one priority, and they're wrong for that, because it's not just us, everyone loses time throughout their day. And it's like, if you wanted to be a better fill in the blanker, then like you would have to devote all your time to that too. I fully agree with you on the statement that like, if you want to do it and get there as quick as where you want to and play at the level of everybody else, it requires all that. But at the same time, I think there's a lie wrapped up in that, probably from the devil a little bit, to be like, oh, if you want this, if this is really what you want, then I need you to have all of your attention on this one thing continuously, versus doing like, I don't know, time management would be good, or like planning your week out, or the routine of like, you know what, dude, I will work my butt off from, I caught myself right there from saying the A word on the podcast.
There you go.
Like planning out like, hey, Mondays, this is what I do on Mondays every Monday. But every day of the week, I'm getting up and I'm reading my Bible before I touch my phone. Before I check, did last night's post pop off while I was sleeping last night? I don't even care, because that's me. What's the first thing on my mind? I'm like, did that work last night? I should be like,
yeah.
I don't care at all about that. It's not even a thought in my head. I think my first thought every morning should be like, I'm getting up with some OJ and some bacon and I'm reading the Bible.
Yeah, I think part of it too is like the human experience and, well, I won't say experience, but my personal experience of like truly believing that I'm forgiven and saved, and like truly believing that like God knows me. I'm asking him to search my heart and know me and, know my anxious thoughts. And because that's literally what we're talking about right now is
that's my favorite
our
verse
anxious
right
thoughts, and like knowing that he's going to do that and see me through it and make me into the person that he wants me to be.
Right.
Having faith in that and knowing that probably be a good anecdote to my problem. But
there's 14 other verses we can pull that, about not worrying, and what Jesus literally says about that too. And I do think that this industry more than others, because I've been bringing up like other industries do this too, but like I do firmly believe that when it comes to like worry and anxiety over what your success will be this has got to be one of the highest for sure, because those thoughts are on all our brains all the time. And it's hard to get out of that. I don't think everyone else experiences that in every other field for sure. But
yeah, it's extreme. I feel like it's definitely extreme in the music industry.
I mean, bro, dude, if you feel that way, think about how an actual Christian artist feels. Because their songs are for the Lord, but like they're still having to play the part of everything you just described too,
Yeah.
Like they're having to put their face in front of the camera and do the thing. And like some of them love it. Corey Asbury seems to freaking thrive off of it. But like,
he does.
There's other artists that I'm sure that are like in CCM that go to bed every night being like, okay, God, like I'm singing these songs for you. I'm writing these songs for you, literally. But like, I still have to be the selfish person on stage every night and everyone's clapping at me. I'm the one doing all the things. It's just different.
Yeah. I saw something the other day that was so good. This guy, he was an artist, and I think he was a Christian artist, but he was like talking to a crowd of people, and he was like, some people are like, hey, like God wanted you to do this, or like you're doing a good thing for the Lord, like singing worship and pray, or like, worshiping his name and creating music around that. And he was like, I'm not doing this for God. Like what God's will for my life is for my heart posture to be like his. And if I do this on the side, great, but this is for me. Like what God's will for my life is to be like Jesus and tell people about him.
That's so good though.
Yeah.
So good. Sorry, are you going to go with that more?
No, I mean,
I got something on it.
No, go ahead.
That reminded me of Sydney and I were literally sitting in the street the other night at my house. I don't know how we ended up there. I was walking her to the door, to her car, and we started talking. Then we ended up sitting down in the middle of the road at like 11 o'clock at night. We're weird like that. But we were just having these deep conversations laying in the street, looking up at the stars in my freaking neighborhood. And we were having that conversation just like that about not that artist, but us as people. And like, do you think God genuinely cares about like what it is you did while you were here, like career wise? And I'm going to follow that up with this by going like, we'll all remember Steve Jobs because Steve Jobs created Apple. Do you think when if Steve Jobs went to heaven, he got to heaven and God was like, man, congrats on the Apple gig you had down there? He doesn't care about that. Because if it was in comparison to you created Apple, or Joe went to Kenya and saved however many people through preaching the gospel, they're completely different things. So that what you're saying about that artist, whether people like his answer or not, is kind of true. It's like God doesn't care if you're flipping the burger or strumming the sixth string. It is about your heart posture to him and your relationship to him. I think you can honor him and glorify him through your work for sure. That's why there's verses on that. But that is like actually the truth. I do think he gives you dreams though. And whether the dream takes you down a path you didn't know, and that was the whole purpose of God doing that, is a completely different thing. Could be the case for a lot of people. Yeah, I put the dream on your heart to get you there so he could do something else with you, because you would have never went there without it, right? But yeah, that's kind of like true. Because if you go back to what I said earlier about you can choose your job for the most part. You can have the desire to be anything. You still have to serve God fully no matter what you pick. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Just got to live it out. In confidence, yeah. Well, anyways, enough about me.
You're good.
I want to hear about Texas.
Texas, man. The Permian Basin.
Yeah, that thing. Where all that black gold
Texas
is.
tea, yeah, black gold. It always makes me think of the hillbillies. The Clampets.
Yeah.
That
So
theme song. Beverly
you went to
Hillbillies.
Texas for a reason, for sure.
Yeah.
But something else probably drove you there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I taught, so my degree when I went to IU, I went to IU as Evans Scholar. So I went as a caddy scholarship. So my summer job since 6th grade was carrying golfers' bags, and all summer through the spring or through the fall until you couldn't really golf anymore up in the northeast part of the country, or at least part of Indiana. And that led me to not getting in my freshman year, which allowed me to go play basketball because it was a full ride. So, I mean, we didn't come from money. So it was try to figure out how to not have to pay for college or not go into, $100,000 into debt.
Yeah.
Because I knew my degree wasn't probably going to get me out of that debt. I thought about trying to do business, but my skill set on like the math and some of that stuff.
You're a songwriter, bro.
I'm not an idiot, but it didn't always add up.
None of us are good at math, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I was decent. I wasn't.
Well, you got to know
you're probably the most type A songwriter I know.
Yeah, I mean, I tested decent in math, but it wasn't always something that came easy. I just had to work at it.
Well, you got to know your splits,
But I guess trying to move on is got back to IU, and the Kelley School of Business is one of the top business schools in the country. And if you graduate from Kelley, you have a lot going for you. You can interview for any job and just about get it when it comes to business. And they have a weeding out process, and I was weeded out. So I thought about going into SPIA, which is like the essentially the public health business class. It's just a knockoff version of Kelley business. And I was like, man, that's going to just take so much time away at that point, truthfully, from music. I knew I wanted to do music. I knew I wanted to try to do something in that realm. I just didn't know if it would be maybe one day worship leading or doing something like that, but I knew. So I just am going to do education because you get your summers off. You maybe have some time on your hands to write or to figure something else out for a job or just having time. Because if you're working Monday through Friday every day of the year, every week of the year, it gets hard to figure out if you can go or do anything else. So I switched a year and a half in because I was a business major my freshman year at Emmanuel down in Georgia, transferred to IU on the scholarship, and spent 4 years there. First year was trying to do business and got weeded out. There was a couple classes I just didn't do well in, and then changed to education, finished that degree and graduated and taught for a year. And I knew, after that year of teaching that I taught 7th and 8th grade middle school, social studies, just, doing it in the classroom. And
Mr. Osborn.
Man, I just remember going in that classroom and it just looked like prison. I hadn't decorated anything. And like a couple of the teachers were, kind of, I was new to the block. I had gotten another position that I didn't really want to do, and kind of kept interviewing for other jobs, and sure enough got another job while I had already got this job, and the year hadn't been underway or anything. It was still a week away from starting, but I switched at the last second. And I just had a couple days before school started, and my classroom wasn't set up, and I mean, I wasn't planning on setting up my classroom. I don't have decorations. I'm not painting the chalkboard or putting bulletins up. I'm like, I'll come in with a globe and sit down at my desk and see what the heck happens. Because that just wasn't me. I wasn't gonna. I think that's when I started to realize, which I knew that before. I mean, because I knew I wasn't probably gonna teach, but I just I hadn't quite had that conversation with myself quite yet. I was like, I need to probably try to do my degree, what my degree's in, for a year. So I did that, and I mean, don't get me wrong. The kids are the best part of it. Getting to know certain personalities, and there's some really cool kids at that age, that are just moldable, and, they're just fun to be around, and they end up kind of being more your friends. I mean, especially at that age, I was 23 or 24. And yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed that aspect of it, but the grading and the education and the teaching them about stuff, it wasn't that I didn't think history was important. I think history is one of the most important things we could ever, because if you don't learn it, you repeat it, which we're, guilty of in the world we're living in now. We're starting to repeat history. But I think for me, it was just the grind of grading stuff and caring about that. That wasn't in me, So I think I was that year. I gave it all I got. No one knew that. No one could tell that was where I was at. And I ended up getting kind of sick in my second semester of that year. That kind of took me out of commission for like 2 months. And so it was kind of a weird end of the year. But I taught for that year, coached wrestling for the year. And I just realized, there are enough bad apples, even at a good school like where I was at, that I was like, this is not what I'm going to do.
What do you mean, like teachers?
No, just students. They just didn't care about authority, the way schools are set up anymore. Unless you have a really good principal, no one's afraid of anybody.
Right.
So if they're not afraid of their parents, first and foremost, they're not going to be afraid of me. And if they're not afraid of me, they're not going to be, or if they're not afraid of principal and the assistant principal, they're not going to be afraid of me. Mm-hmm. So you're in a lose-lose situation in so much of what education has become.
Yeah.
That it's not, it's not an enjoyable career at times, unless you just really love, like my sisters, they both were teachers and love the growth of, from the kids from the beginning of the year to the end. They love that, and one was an elementary teacher, so you see a lot more growth, but still that heart is still there. So anyway, I'm just talking to talk at this point, but got done with that year, and man, I just had no money. You make $35,000 as a teacher, $2,000 extra for coaching wrestling, so $37,000 for a year. I'm like, man, this is nothing. I couldn't afford much of anything. And so I just knew if I wanted to get married to Hannah, which I did, she was still finishing up school. She had 2 years left, or after that year, she would have had a year left when I was teaching. I knew I had to get some money. I wanted to try to put some music together because, as I was thinking about making the move to Nashville, I felt like I had to have music to come. And so I was like, man, I need to get in the studio. I need to record some stuff that I've written, and I just don't have any money to do that. And the main pull was to get enough money to marry Hannah because I just didn't have anything to my name, nothing. And so moved out to West Texas, got into the oil field. I mean, I quit my job that May, had about $4,000 or $3,000 in my bank account, and I went hourly classes. It was an $80 per hour class for my CDL. And man, I was so nervous to get my CDL because I didn't even know how to drive stick shift. I'm a neighborhood kid. My dad's a pastor. We didn't hunt. We didn't fish. I fished some, but we just didn't grow up around it. I loved it. My grandpa, my pap, he was around. He did some of it, and so I had a taste of it here and there, but it just wasn't my day to day. So when I got to really the boiling point of that summer where I had to it was now or never trying to figure this stuff out, and my bank account was low, I ended up, getting on that truck and learning how to drive it. And, man, I remember the first time I got back from my first trip up in the road, because, they just put you up in it and they're like, all right, here we go. And you're just, air pressure, just you're just bouncing everywhere. It's 10 gears. You got to, I don't remember what you call it, but the little nozzle that you flip up to shift to the other gears. You got a clutch, you got air brakes, you got to keep your eyes on all these gauges, you got to downshift, you got to be able to back it in and all these different things. And I just remember I was so overwhelmed with it, and got it on the street, and I got back after that half hour, 20-minute trip that I didn't even make it through. I think I made the first 10 minutes and had to pull over, and the guy popped up because I was just grinding. The gears, and I got back and I threw up. I went to the bathroom and threw up because I just was so nervous. I thought I was going to kill somebody. I was about
to say, you probably thought you were going to kill somebody.
I thought I was going to kill somebody. Yeah. This thing's a massive machine. You're just driving this huge semi, this bouncing around everywhere.
I can't even see you driving one of those, bro.
Dude, it's dangerous. is dangerous. So, I mean, I gave it all I had, and I mean, you got to be on it. You got to pre-trip it. You got to know everything that you need to know to pass that. Like, I have a CDL currently, and I don't know if I'd, feel super confident to get back in it. But like when I was doing it, I knew what I was doing well enough to get the job done because I passed my test. And day I passed my test, headed to Texas because you got paid more if you had a CDL. Because I could have gone without one, but I knew I was going to get more per hour if I had my CDL. So got into the oil field, specifically fracking, and I was an EO, an equipment operator for a year out in the middle of the West Texas desert. And that was the first time I saw tarantulas and scorpions and rattlesnakes and wild horses and dead cattle, and the trough had, gotten a hole in it or something, and they just dropped dead because they just didn't have water, and all these different things. You're just like, wow, this is a crazy. You're just out there. You're driving these rigs from place to place, location of pad to pad, and rigging up, rigging down, fracking 20 stages, or fracking a triple well for 150 stages, and it was a very unique time in my life where I was just learning constantly, and I was lucky enough to be out there, which it's kind of like, I don't know exactly what it would be equivalent to, but maybe war where it's they don't want to put brothers in the same company. Not that that's a good example, but they didn't want to put brothers in the same company or the same.
You can pull this up.
Oh yeah, the same.
Get up. You need to scoot up.
No, I think I got out of being weird probably, but me and Trevor ended up being able to be on the same. I'm blanking on what you call it, but
team.
Yeah, same team, same crew is what I'm thinking of. Same crew, because there was 3 crews. You ran 24 hours, so it was 17 hours on days, 17 hours on nights, which there's a little bit of an overlap. But the third crew is on days off, so you're always fracking a well, you're always moving to another well, and it's just a never ending thing. But I just enjoyed my time out there, even though it was hard work. You're just out in the elements, when it's cold, it's cold. When it's hot, it's hot. When it's raining, it's raining. When it's sandstorming, it's sandstorming. And yeah, I ran sand for a good while. I went over to like the chem-ad, ran that for a little bit, ran the blender for a little bit. And then whenever Trevor was gone, he was the line boss. And that's like when you're in the red zone quite frequently, just checking on fluid ends or just different things that you got to check on when you're in a stage. And whenever he would go on a vacation or whenever he was doing something else, because sometimes he ran in the data van and like just was actually becoming like more of an operator of the actual stage itself. I would sometimes run the line, and that was like you'd bleed the pressure off at the end of a stage, and it's like 10,500 pounds of pressure. It got behind this 3-inch piece of iron, and you can just feel it. Like it's just crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, there was. I mean, it was. I mean,
did you ever see anybody get hurt out there?
I didn't personally, but I mean, we saw helicopters get flown in to pads locally, and you could see them fly in, and you'd hear that guy lost his leg, or that guy, whatever. And it's like I didn't realize how dangerous it was because Trevor was like, "Oh yeah, dude, you just come out here and push buttons." I was like, "Oh, that's make money pushing buttons." And I kind of started to realize when I got my CDL like how hard that was, and then I drive 20 plus hours out to West Texas and get my job, and man, it was crazy. Just the roar of that equipment and the ground, just the closer you get to those rigs, just the closer the ground just shaking. And it's wild the first time you get in there. There's nothing like it.
How long did you do that?
I did it for a little over a year, like a year and a month. And then I paid for everything. I paid for music. I paid for my ring. I paid for the honeymoon. I paid for as much as I possibly could because I made a lot of money that year, and didn't have much to show for it, but had enough to be able to get to Nashville with Hannah, married, and start Nashville. And that's when I got my job at UPS. I moved here and went from West Texas desert to the humidity of Nashville, Tennessee trailers.
But now,
yeah, I put my 2 weeks in 2 weeks ago. So yesterday was my last day at UPS. So yeah, it was 6 years just about. So
you're a free man.
Yeah, it's wild, man. The last 2 years I've been on preload. I was working that early morning shift, so I'd get up around 3:30 and clock in around 4:10, 4:15, and then I'd work till about 8, 7:38. So it was like a 4.5 hour shift. But I mean, that sounds pretty easy sometimes for most folks. But oh yeah, that's easy. But I mean, do it for 2 years and then
leave there, write songs. Right
yeah. Then you get off, get home, shower, and go downtown. So I mean, it's like
this dude would sleep like an hour and show up to a ride and be like, "Yeah, I had to work at UPS." I'm like, well, did you sleep? And he'd be like, "Oh, I'd napped for like an hour, like 90 minutes." I'm like, okay. Yeah. And you're just going to go like about your day on 1 hour of sleep. Yeah. Just what I got to do. I'm like,
yeah, I would be able to do, like usually 2 nights with about 3 to 1 hour of sleep. I'd be able to do like 2 nights of that. Like let's say Tuesday, Wednesday, I could do that. And then Thursday I would have to go to bed at like 10:30 or 11, get like 4 or 5 hours. Otherwise I was going to be dead because it just started to get like your brain just doesn't function as well as you need it to. But I mean, I didn't do it for 5 days a week the last year and a half. The first 3 months, I think 4 months when I switched over to preload, I was pretty diligent and did 5 days a week when I first got started on the preload shift. But it just started to get to me to where I just couldn't keep it up. I'd hurt my shoulder. I tore my labrum. And I just kind of was like, man, I just can't keep doing this physical labor. I mean, because I'm unloading trailers and there's 100-pound packages plus in there that you're in between these small little areas that you're trying to lift it up with your knees or your back, or it's a really unique job. And it's not climate controlled. So it's when it's the winter, it's freezing cold. When it's the summer, it's blazing hot. And yeah, I mean, those 53 footers don't unload themselves. So I mean, it takes you about 2 hours to get through it. And yeah, it's hard work. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart.
So you are Santa Claus.
Yeah. For those kids listening, I'm sorry. I am Santa Claus.
You got to be 17 plus listen to GodDog. Actually, I'm just
yeah. No, it's a wild job in there. I mean, you meet all types of characters in there. I'm forever grateful for UPS. I mean, I always say it's a job that will put you in the hospital and then they'll take care of you. You know, so it's a weird job from the standpoint of like the harder you work, the harder they'll work you.
Sounds like America.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, I mean, there's so much good that came out of that job and all the different people that you meet and just the mindset of like, I taught for a year. I was in West Texas grinding it out in the middle of the desert. I was in, the trailers for the last 6 years, unloading or loading trailers. It's just, there's a gratefulness to writing songs every day that I have that like just makes me hungry to get the best song day of, you know?
For sure.
Cause I mean, man, it's just like these people are stuck. Whether it be out on a rig, it be out on a rig or in a trailer, like these people, whether it be life decisions they've made or education that they haven't gotten or family life that they were grown up in, they just don't know nothing better. Like they're stuck. A lot of them are stuck. And, West Texas, you can be stuck in a really good spot because you're making a ton of money, but, a lot of them have a ton of kids and they're paying child support and, they're not really making a lot of money. Same thing with UPS or, it just, they're living in an apartment and they're busing to work. It's like an hour round trip. And these people are in there at 3 or 4 in the morning, grinding it out. They've doubled, they've worked midnight shift and then are now working preload and are going to go Uber during the day. It's like, I mean, you meet people that you're like, I can't complain about anything. I just can't complain about anything.
100%. Yeah.
And so the fact that I was able to get done with UPS, wash it off, and go write a song at Warner Chappell or at Sony or at Concord or at you name it.
Fill in the blank. Yeah.
Some house with a studio. I mean, it made me kind of smile inside every day because, and it still does. Like, I just know how lucky I am to be able to do it. And that's why it just matters so much to me. Why good songs matter so much to me, because I know what it can take me out of, and I know what it can do for my life, if I do it really well.
Yeah.
And there's a certain hunger that if you don't do that stuff, I don't know if you have,
Dude, you're right, bro.
I'm telling you, I worked for obviously drove the tractor for a while, but the moving company for me was like that, bro. When I first moved here, that was my first job after being here for like a couple weeks after running through my nest egg of $1,500, you know?
Yeah.
I moved in with somebody who was managing a moving company, sleeping on his couch. And we would get up at like 3 or 4 every day to go move somebody in Knoxville, you know?
Yeah.
Get out there and just move people's stuff all day and just be next to those people that you're talking about that are just stuck. Like, they have to do that. They don't have a choice.
Not much of one.
Not really.
Yeah.
And
they can go to another sucky job.
that will make you write better songs.
Yeah, it's
sure.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I get songwriting is a very creative job. It's the nature of what it is. You have to use your brain to do it. And so some days you're just off, or some days your brain's a little foggy. But for me, it's those days when people say that, it gets really hard for me to be patient, because for me, it's like, you got to fight through it, man. Yeah. You gotta have some grit. And again, I don't think I say that in a standpoint of I've never been there too. There's been a few rights, in my 6 years of being here where it's like, man, my brain is just not working.
Today,
and maybe I should have, spoke up and been like, boys, I'm not sure what I'm going to get out of my skill level today. Yeah. But I think I wish Nashville had a little bit more of a
we're writing a song. Like, we're not building, we're not ripping a motor apart and putting it back together. We can apply ourselves for a little longer.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that I need to get the song done today. Mm-hmm. I think good song can take 10 sessions, 15 sessions.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying you got to get a song a day. I think for me, it's more just the attitude in the room, the approach to the right, bringing in hooks that can change the game. Because if you don't have ideas, you don't have
nothing. You ain't got nothing.
You don't have songs that can change your life. And I know there's hooks that have made it, or songs that have made it with not much of a hook at it. That's just the voice on the song, or just the melody, so I know there's exceptions to that statement. But for me, good songs still win, and a song can change everything. And I just have to believe that to the core of my being. And so with the experiences that I have just with Texas or teaching or UPS, I just want to make sure I'm using the time in my right to the best of my ability to get the best song I can that day. Because it just matters. It matters so much to me. I just love what I do, and I love the process of getting to be able to write a song in a way that you start with nothing and you end with something that you want to listen to the whole way home.
Yes.
You want to crank it up for me 50 minutes or 45 minutes and listen to it
on repeat.
Yeah, and I'm like, what human wants to listen to the same thing over and over? That's probably out of tune and whatever. But it's like, for me, that's if I get a song that makes me listen the whole way home, I got something that really makes me happy.
Yeah, for sure. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping you were going to kind of dive in, which I didn't ask you, but I would love, podcast, obviously, we want to talk about Jesus and God and what he's done in our life and who he is to us. And I feel like a lot of that I've seen from you is how you love your wife. And I think that's so awesome, because I was somebody for a long time that just, I have no desire to be married or anything like that. And you were just such a big help with all that, bro. And I'd love to hear you talk about, like, Hannah, how you met her, how you pursued her, like, in a godly way, whatever you're comfortable with saying, but like
share as much as I can, I think.
Yeah. But I'd just love for you to talk about that. And because for me, that's like, we write songs together for sure, but like our relationship is to me, just a lot deeper than writing songs, because you've just been such a factor in like how I view God and his word and things that I want to be obedient with.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, there was things that I was trying to maybe say earlier on, but I lose my train of thought pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it's hard to hop in sometimes. But I met Hannah. It'll be 10 years to the day, May 31st.
Come on.
I remember her stepping out of the car she was in, and I wanted to meet her. I knew she was coming, and I'd kind of I was looking forward to seeing who she was.
How'd you know that she was coming?
So we were counselors out at a church camp, and everyone gets put into a Facebook group, and so you just kind of click around and see who's who. And it wasn't like I was in love by first picture or anything like that. It was just more like I just thought she was cute. I was like, hey, it'd be cool to meet her. I was like the one girl I was like,
maybe court her.
Yeah, I was like, it wasn't even that. It was just like I thought she was pretty.
I know.
And so I was looking forward to her getting out of the car or just meeting her. And when she hopped out, I was like, man, she is pretty. She's real pretty. And man, I was just like, pretty quick. I knew I was interested. First time I heard her voice, just so soft and sweet. And I was like, man, dude, that's a voice I've never heard in my life. Her green eyes, first time I had a conversation was pretty close, And I was like, man, her eyes are just unbelievable. I'd never seen any eyes like that. And I was infatuated, pretty quick.
Did she give you a run for your money?
I mean, yeah, it took a long time to get her to because she was younger. I was a little older, and she just had a life to live. She was going to be a freshman in college, and I was going to be a junior. So, I mean, that's just for that. And then the age group is I'm 4.5 years older. So I'm just old for my age, but
he's old for his age, bro.
Yeah, I guess that.
Dude, Daymon is old for his age, bro.
Yeah. What am I trying to say? I started everything later.
I'm gonna start telling people that on their birthday.
Yeah. I was gonna let it fly, but Jasper smoked.
Yeah, you did. Which I deserve it because I said it. I was like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm on Dog God podcast. I feel like
Dog God.
I feel like
he's on the Dog God.
I'm on the GodDog podcast, dude. That's the stuff that I do quite frequently. Hannah, I always put names the opposite way.
Row, bro. You can't have two mishaps in a row. Where's the
No, you can.
That's me. Always with my foot in my mouth.
I love it.
No, I just always mix up it's like dyslexic with numbers, but I'm dyslexic with names or titles of stuff.
It's okay.
I always do it. It's bad. It's just a family trait. Anybody that we know with a name that kind of has a first name and a last name, we all just switch it up. It's the weirdest thing.
So you'd be like Chambers Tyler?
That's not.
It'd be more like Charles Jasper.
Yeah, like I've said that before.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely said that before. It all. Yeah. Anyway, I won't go into it all, but it's just names switch. So all that to say, I was just intrigued. I was intrigued, and not like in a creepy way, but I was 2 years school wise older, but age wise older, and or even older. And so I just was infatuated when I first met her, and the more I got to know her that summer, the more qualities I saw in a Proverbs 31 woman, just someone that loved the Lord with all her heart and would be someone that I just could walk step in step with life. And, she would wake up, and before camp got started that day, she'd be out doing soccer drills, and she would be, I played bass in the band on stage, and you'd see her singing, and you could just tell it was so sincere, and she just loved her Heavenly Father. And there was just things about her that summer that I just kind of watched and learned and just saw that I was like, man, she just comes from a lot of the same places I come from. Her dad's a pastor. My dad's a pastor. We have a similar upbringing. Man, it was just like, she's just the best, dude. And I started to just realize like, I do like her. And, it was at the end of that summer that I wrote her a note and gave it to her and just was like, hey, I'd love to get your number and stay in touch. So we whatever you do.
They transferred
contacts. Yeah. And that, I don't even know how to say that. It's so awkward,
okay.
dude.
It's all right.
You just say I got her number.
Yeah, I got her number.
We're with you.
Yeah, I got her number. And yeah, it just took a while to like get her through freshman year and sophomore year. And she was playing, I mean, she was a D2 soccer player. Like she had a lot going on. She was a way better student than I could have ever imagined of being. Just so she studied all the time. And so dating me wasn't on the forefront of her mind. And so it just
probably drove you crazy.
Yeah, not in a bad way. I just knew I just liked her so much and wanted to continue to try to get to know her that I just wasn't willing to walk away that easy, you know, just like I wanted to stay in her life as much as I possibly could at a distance, you know. And so she just didn't communicate very well. You know, that was the hardest part. We're just far apart. We did most of our relationship, if not all of it, long distance. And so it's just hard when you don't communicate with somebody. So there was just times where I was kind of left in the dark of what was going on or how she was feeling or those kind of things. But man, we figured it out, and she was just became evident the longer I pursued her that I wanted to date her, and the longer I dated her that I wanted to marry her. And so, yeah, I knew when I went to teaching that I wanted to marry her. We still had some things to figure out, but you know, I wanted to try to get down on one knee and ask her to be my wife. So I just knew I needed to get some money, and that's what I did. Went out to Texas, got money, and yeah, we made it happen. So that's kind of I met her through church camp and just saw so much of who I always longed to have as a wife in her, and it just gradually progressed into a more serious thing. And yeah, got married 6 years ago this July. But it'll be 10 this May 31st that I actually met her, which is kind of weird that I know the day, but it's just, you know, the day, I know the day just because we both do. I mean, we remember that day just going out to church camp, and that's when we met, because we can go back and pinpoint it.
That's sick.
Yeah. So we're going to probably go out to dinner and just talk about how the Lord just, you know, worked for 10 years in our lives, you know, just grown us and shaped us and changed us to the people we are now, you know, which is a lot of the same people, but it's also, I mean, we're in Nashville, Tennessee, married, and
you're 10 years older.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
still old for your age.
Still pretty old for your age.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Yeah.
God, dog.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like it's that Morgan Wallen quote in Theo's podcast. He's like, last time I've been in a bar is the last time I've been in a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not too far off.
Yeah.
You're good.
But
if Morgan can do it, surely you can do it.
I mean, I don't know if you want me to talk about like dating or what, but I think, I think
just the pursuit of a godly woman in a godly way. Like,
I
think the reason why I'm saying this too, and you know this already, but I'm just going to say it for the sake of the podcast. But like, I'm hoping that this falls on these podcasts fall on kids that are like me when I was younger that don't know how to do that. So like, what does that look like?
Yeah,
bro?
okay.
Like,
that's a good way to think about it.
So that was your first kiss. Like,
you didn't
have a girlfriend before. Like,
no,
all that
I didn't.
Stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I liked some girls throughout middle school and high school, and but she was my first kiss, and like she was the first girl I ever, because I knew if I told a girl I loved her, I was gonna want to marry her.
Yeah.
So that was my whole goal. I don't think I told anyone else that I loved them until Hannah. And I just tried to do it the way that I feel like the Lord wanted me to do it. You know, just try not. I mean, it's all about pace. So I mean, I just remember in middle school. I mean, this was my first time ever really liking a girl, and I went to a middle school dance, and you know, I had to ask my dad. I was like, Dad, do you think, you know, am I allowed to slow dance with her and those kind of things, you know? And dude, it was. I just remember my dad said, he's like, you know, you're gonna want to hold her hand, and after you hold her hand, you're gonna want to put your arm around her. And after you put your arm around her, you're gonna want to hug her. After you hug her, you're gonna want to kiss her, and after you kiss her, you're gonna want to maybe kiss her longer, and so on and so forth. And you just get this pace of a relationship that was set pretty early on, and like that front of things, just like physically, that it's like only leads to more. So you just got to be really, really careful and really, really wise with someone else's daughter that you're not even close to marrying yet, whether you're in middle school or high school or college, you get a little closer. But like 2, you just want to be pleasing the Lord with how you think about her, how you go about getting to know her, how you go about dating her. And so, for me, I was raised in a household that tried to put the Lord first in all that we said and did, and that was just how I went about it. I mean, it wasn't that I ever didn't make mistakes, but I think for me, it was something that just I held very dear to me. Like if I was wanting to pursue the Lord, I knew that there was a girl out there that wanted to do the same thing, and I feel like I found that in Hannah. And so it was very easy for me to be like, yeah, this is a girl that I would love to pursue, because I was her first kiss,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of immature thing to say at the age I am, to be like first kiss. But I mean, it was, at that point I was.
No, but it's so rare that it's,
bro.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, man.
I mean, I still, kind of gets me a little.
I think most people would.
I mean, I didn't drink or smoke, and that wasn't all my buddies did. I mean, it just was something that I just wanted. My testimony was a huge deal. I mean, it takes years and years and years and years to build a testimony. It takes one bad decision to ruin it, and it's just like, I just didn't want to ever ruin my testimony. I didn't want to ever give someone a reason to be like, that's why I don't believe in God. That's why I don't want to follow Christ, because that hypocrite, And so I think, not that I'm not capable of making mistakes and falling short of the glory of God, but I still to this day want to protect my testimony in a way that not only honors and glorifies God, but gives people like a reason to go like, okay, there may be something different about like what he's doing that actually is kind of giving some credit to what the Bible, the power of what God's word has in someone's life. And so I don't say that arrogantly. I say that just by God's mercy and grace in my life. I mean, you think of the family that I was born into, you think of the dad and mom that I had that loved me in a way that maybe a lot of kids don't get loved. They pointed me to the foot of the cross in everything that I did. And I tried to, I was fourth in my family. So I watched, my older sister kind of make this decision that maybe wasn't the smartest. I watched my brother maybe make this decision that wasn't the smartest. I watched my other sister make this decision that wasn't smart. So by the time it got to me, when you're making life decisions, I was in a place that I was like, I just learned a lot of just like what not to do or what to do. And so when it came to just dating, I wanted to do it right, because I knew that was a big area that the Lord could use to glorify his name. Also that Satan could use to ruin so much. And so I just wanted to try to just stay pure and protect that. And Hannah throughout her life did the same thing. And it was, just something that I'll always be grateful for just how the Lord's grace and mercy in my life has, just overwhelmed so much of it, just that I get to sit here today and love a woman that, loves the Lord wholeheartedly and loves me, just as much, or if not just as much, right around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think for those 16 or 17-year-old kids that are out there doing their thing, you have to tell a woman someday some of the things that you've done.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not just making decisions in the moment right now. You're hurting someone in the future. It's like those decisions that you make that feel good in the moment or that are just easy to go with, they impact so many people that you've not even met yet. It's just the consequences of sin and how it all works. And I it's a common quote, but Satan overpromises and underdelivers. Just what he does. It's what he's been doing since the garden, and that's what he'll do until the end of time in Revelation. So it's from Genesis to Revelation. He just is a liar and a cheat, a stealer, and he'll steal joy from anyone he can. He'll steal hope and life from anyone he can. And I think for me, it's just a testament to what God's word has done in my life to be able to have pursued a girl the way I pursued Hannah, to then now as a girlfriend to fiance to wife, that we get to have a relationship that is just so fun. It's not that it's not, there's not some work that needs done at times, or I'm being selfish or sinful or whatever. But I mean, marriage has been a complete joy, and I have every expectation that it will continue to be a joy as long as we keep Christ in the center of our life, because if it's not, it just doesn't work. It's a lot harder, So, man, there's just so much of decisions that we make when we're high schoolers and college students or dropouts or whatever, that you just look back and you're like, that wasn't the right thing to do,
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. I don't think when you said, oh, like this might sound immature or whatever, it's like, I don't think it sounds immature at all. I think he probably feels this way. I obviously feel this way. I'm about to say it, but I think there's a bunch of people out there that would hear that and be like, yeah, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
I wish I could have the same story.
Yeah.
Because we don't. I don't. Yeah. He doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And like, if you could trade him off, I'd be like, yeah, I'm trading that off. I'm trading off 100%. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd be like, yep, that was my situation. That's the situation. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, sin is enticing and enjoyable. So that's why, people choose it. I remember specifically a conversation I had in the Taco Bell parking lot my freshman year of college, or freshman year of high school. And we were talking about just the choices that we had in front of us, and there was my buddy that I loved and cared about. And he just looked at me, and we'd been in youth group and some different things together. And he just was like, man, I just kind of want to fit in and do what everyone's doing. I know that this is what Christ has done for me. I know what God's word says, but I just kind of want to have fun. And I remember that conversation because he was actually making the choice most people make, but actually, doing it in front of me. That it was a thing that you don't really get to see very often, because you see it, but you don't necessarily get to be a part of that, moment in time where you're kind of like telling someone, I'm just going to choose to not do what the Lord wants. And man, it just broke my heart. And I just remember going, I still pray for him to this day. I still, when he comes to mind, I still pray for him because I still love the guy, and he's been one of my best friends through middle school and some high school. And I was always around it. It wasn't like I wasn't around it. I was played sports, and you just kind of in that circle of going out and being around some of the partying and doing that. But I just was trying to be as smart as I could about it. I'd be there for 45 minutes, or when things kind of started to be brought out, maybe I would dip, I just try to make it where it wasn't like, oh, Daymon doesn't ever do anything with anybody, because I don't think that's helpful. But I also, bad company corrupts good character. So it's you wanted to be careful because you're not above falling. And so for me, I just wanted to try to just be around and be in the world, but not of the world. So I was at parties, I would be around, but I just tried to do my best to continue to just be a light in those dark basement rooms,
Yeah.
And then when my time came to exit, I would dip, and no one had an issue with it. There was always like, hey, you want a beer? You want a shot? You want a whatever? And it wasn't necessarily wrong to partake in some of that. I think at that age it would be because you're underage. But I think for me it was just more of like, I didn't see it until the end of college, but you just see what it does to lives. You see, especially in college, everyone's on their own, and they have 4 years to pursue everything they want and anything they want. Yeah. And they do. And you watch it unfold, and you watch it. And for me, that's the peak of so many people's life, that's what you have. And that's what you go back to in your memories. That's what you go back. And I'm not saying it's not fun. There's a reason why everyone loves college and loves to talk about college. But
Sin's
for me,
fun.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it was one of those things where it's like, this is all the world has to offer. These peak feelings, these peak emotions, and that's why you try to emulate those things for the rest of their lives. There's still all those people are still doing and trying to do the same thing. Maybe they've matured in some ways, just by God's common grace, or some of those things. But it's like they still are wanting to be back at those days of just pursuing those things at in a degree that no one was stopping them. There was not a job that they had to wake up for. There was, a lot of them were so smart that it didn't matter how much they partied, they could get up and ace the test. So, it didn't matter. They could just go. And so that was one thing was just so impressive to me, because you're just sitting there going like, dang, these guys can really rally. You know what I mean? There was nothing like it. Seriously, it was crazy. I couldn't do it. There was no way. I'm not smart enough. But they were just like, dude, they could go and go and go and go and not stop. And so, I say that all to just say, the world only has so much to offer. God has everything to offer, and it's just, what do you want? What do you want to choose? And for me, there's so much joy in choosing Christ and choosing what He's done for me on the cross and what He's done for those who believe on the cross. Because there's not a joy that comes through any other sin or through any other decision that we can make outside of accepting Christ as your Savior and repenting of sin and turning your life to live for Christ. It's not that it's a feeling, because it's not always a feeling, but there's just a joy. You get to wake up and be able to say no to this and no to that if you want to, where before it was like that was all you could crave, that's all you could think about. And there's a freeiness, there's a power to the cross that when it's in your life, it's quite the gift from the Lord, just His grace. And so, yeah, I think I was listening to a sermon in Luke 13. It's a parable on the fig tree, and Jesus is talking, and it sets it up where it's fig tree hasn't bared fruit, and then there's a tenant of the tree or the field that's like, give it one more year, and I'm going to put dirt around it and try to get it to grow, and then after that, if it still needs to be cut down, you can cut it down. And there's just a reality that God's patient in the life that we live. We don't know how we're gonna die, when we're gonna die, where we're gonna die. So that parable gives a reflection of the patience of God. He gives us time on earth to be able to choose those choices that we want to choose. But ultimately, that fig tree, if it doesn't bear fruit, is torn down. And so I think there's such a mercy and grace in who God is and what He's done, but there's also, we're living a life that we don't know when it ends. And so what we do on this earth reflects an eternity. And so I think it's just significant to be able to look at your life you're living and go, do I want Christ to be the Lord of my life, or do I want the world to be? And so I think you just ask yourselves those questions and you work through them. And I think for me, where I've settled is Christ is everything I need. The world has nothing. And I know I'm living in the world, and I know I'm pursuing a songwriting degree, and I know I pursue it at times, like you said, in a way that may be an idol. And so I don't want to sit here and be like, I'm perfect by any stretch, because I'm not. I'm sinful, I'm prideful, I'm selfish, I'm a lot of different things. Hannah can attest. But I think for me, there's just a joy that comes through God's word that you can't get anywhere else.
Amen, brother.
And so it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful, from Genesis, like I said, to Revelation. It sets the theme of all of God's word at the end, which Joseph is one of my favorite stories. But he gets to the end of his life after all of this hardship and all this up and down, and it says what they meant for evil, God meant for good. And you can take that from Genesis, the beginning of the Bible, all the way to the cross, what the Jews and what the Roman Empire meant for evil, God meant for good. Because if it wasn't for Christ dying on the cross, we have no hope. And you can take it all the way to the end of Revelation, because he comes back and he'll set up his kingdom here on earth, and he'll make a new heaven and a new earth where we get to live in his presence forever and ever and ever. And so I just think we think about right here and right now far too much. There's this time is moving, and we're a part of that. There's a reason why there's people that lived 100 years ago and 2,000 years ago. And there's, we're a part of a moving history. We don't all live forever. And so just knowing that and keeping that in mind, what you do right now is not just for this lifetime, it's for the next. So.
Amen.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I don't say that I'm grateful for the family I was raised in. I'm grateful for the parents I have. I'm grateful for just God's mercy and grace in so many areas of my life that, are hard to put into words, because the word has just been so much a part of my life from the very beginning. As kids, we were, doing plays of Zacchaeus and, Matthew as a tax collector, and, my older brother's getting up there in front of a broom and giving a sermon or whatever. We sang songs about God's word. We did everything related around it. So it was probably a different upbringing than some people,
Yeah, but definitely shaped you into the man you are today.
Yeah, I'm grateful for it.
You sound like a man who's truly after God's own heart,
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. That's what, they call David. But yeah, I think, you just try to just love him with all that you have. And I mean, I don't do that perfect every day, by any stretch, because I fall short. But yeah,
that's everyone. You wouldn't need a savior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Yeah, and that's a good point, because that's what's so interesting about the cross is a lot of people forget that it's salvation. You need saving from something,
right?
And so what you need saving from is sin.
Well, I can't think of a better place to cut it off than the freaking gospel. You just let it loose on here. So
I know. Sorry, I had to let God know.
It's all good. I think you are the first person to walk through the actual gospel like that, like on their own, just like the actual testimony of you living out what Jesus was here for. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Again, I don't want it to ever sound like I'm above anything, because I'm not. I think I was just reading something on how to read God's word. And I mean, there's just steps you can take to practically, because he didn't put the Bible on earth to not understand. Yeah. He put it on earth for us to be able to grow and learn from it and turn to it and get to know him better. And so there's ways that you can go about, reading it diligently. But I think, to go back to one of the points that we were talking about earlier, it's if you're not trying to understand who God is more, there's something off in your priority. If you're not in the word trying to read it, which I'm not in it every day, so I'm not sitting here saying I can't learn from what my own words, because I can, and I need to be in God's word way more than I am. But I think that just helps so much of what we do as creatives. Yeah. Turning to the ultimate creator, it doesn't take away the fuel of getting things done in a day. It just adds more to it, because it's not ultimately what matters most. Because when we get so enthralled in it all, we're just like, this is what matters most. This is what I got to do with every second of every day. I got to write songs. I got to think of hooks. I got to do all the artist stuff. And I got to do, and you can just keep going. And there's nothing necessarily wrong about those desires, because you want to do it to the best of your ability. But when you get too far into it, you just got to step back, and you just got to be like, my priority is learning more about my Heavenly Father. And in return, that just fuels your ability to do so much more. Yep. Because it keeps everything in check. It keeps everything in a reality of going, okay, that matters a lot to me, but it's not everything, And when you're not doing that, it's everything to me, Like so many times, songwriting is everything to me, and it shouldn't be. Yeah. And I think the conversations tonight have all led back to songwriting, because that's what I love. That's what I am comfortable talking about. That's what just is so part of who I am. It's, I could talk about Texas, or I could talk about teaching, or I could talk about dating Hannah, or I could talk about playing basketball, or I could talk about my upbringing and how it was, playing all the summers that we had with my siblings and all the different things. But it all leads to being in Nashville trying to write songs.
Yeah, dude.
And that's what is so amazing about this town, because it takes a lifetime to get here. But it also is what's so humbling about this town, because it can take a lifetime to get here. And it can kind of at times feel like it's taking your life from you, because you're like, man, what else am I going to do? Yeah. Because it's taken me this long to get here. And now I'm like, okay, what else would I go to do? because I don't know what it would be.
And what else could I do this well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I've talked a lot, but
that's why we asked you to come on here, man.
Yeah, I just I love you guys, and I just am grateful for you giving me time to.
We just appreciate you being on here, brother. We appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. I love you, bro.
Dude, I love you too, man.
Well,
and congrats on getting married.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your help.
Yeah,
you and Hannah.
You got it, man.
Well, thank y'all for hanging out with us. This was episode 18.
We think, it could be 17 if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
could be 20.
Yeah, if you made it this far, then whatever. You saw it at least.
Yeah, Daymon Osborn, everybody.
Let's go, GodDog.
God.
GodDog.